I'm out here in the beautiful Owens Valley, just south of Mammoth Lakes, California, and waking up this morning, I noticed on the odometer my 2018 TRD Pro Tacoma is about to hit 50,000 miles. Stay tuned as we head to the Mammoth Hot Springs, and then we're going to go do some more exploring. I'll kind of go over what I love about this truck, what's kind of getting under my skin, and then we'll head back to the studio to go over the interior of the truck after 50,000 miles.
I'm Cheyne Walls, and thank you so much for checking out my channel. And I make my living as a fine art and nature photographer that specializes in capturing the beauty of our national parks. I started my career as a photographer for Motor Trend magazine, and still to this day work with clients as kind of a side hustle on reviewing and photographing trucks and cars. It was on one of these photo shoots atop a snowy mountain peak where I was introduced to the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. I was so impressed with this truck that I immediately went out and purchased my own to serve as our new exploration vehicle. The truck instantly became an important part of our photographic travels, acting as much more than just our everyday vehicle or our transportation. Now come join us on this journey as we travel throughout the US and Canada in the search for that next epic photograph.
Starting off with cost of ownership, because I get a lot of questions about this. And usually how it works with Toyota, you get the first 36,000 miles, those oil changes and checkups are free. It will depend a little bit on which dealer you go to or if you kind of haggle a little bit. I did get the 36, which I think it's the first 5 or 6 checkups on it are free. So that's kind of nice. Some dealers do 24,000, just so you're aware. But at 50,000 miles in 20 months, the cost for me to own this, minus gas and everything like that, insurance, is $136. That's with 2 oil changes. So that's, in this day and age, that's pretty good. And in those 50,000 miles, I've had no problems. If you saw some of my earlier reviews, I did talk about a squeaky back shocks. I thought it was a problem in the rear suspension, but after driving other pickup trucks similar to this one in its class, the Chevys and the Fords, they all had it. So it was more my fault, being this is my first truck, that this is kind of a normal thing. And everything else on this has been perfect. Here's my report. You can see, that's why I got a Toyota. Everything is still in the green at 50,000 miles. On to the terrain management system. Is it kind of a gimmick or is it really nice to have? When I first got the truck, really enjoyed having it. This is my first off-roading truck, and it was nice to have because I did get myself stuck a few times, and I was able to turn that on and get out of it. But the more and more I off-road, the less I do use it because I am becoming more experienced and learning the truck a little bit better. I don't need it as much. Probably in this last year, I've maybe used it 1 or 2 times when I did get stuck. Is it a gimmick? I really don't think so, in the way that it's nice to have it, because now, in this scenario, we're out here in the snow, mud, ice. It's not the most difficult obstacle, but for someone, my assistant in the car, who has never driven off-road, it's still nice to have the terrain management set up to help her get through this if I'm out shooting and she needs to drive off-road and be able to get to where I am. For these Goodyear Wranglers, I've been very happy with them. They're not the most aggressive off-road tire, but for what I do, they've been absolutely perfect. And the wear and tear is very minimal. As you see, I got marked green on the sheet. I mean, I'd kind of put them in more of a yellow, but they've been doing great. And you can see here, I'm getting a little bit more wear in the center. They're recommended 30 PSI. On my long drives, I actually pump them up to about 36 just to help with my gas mileage. And it's a little bit rougher of a ride, but it really helps. I get about an extra mile per gallon with them at 36 instead of 31, or excuse me, 30 psi. The snow is starting to fall, so I thought I'd take this time to answer some of the most common questions I get. What bothers me most about this truck? And that answer is the fake hood scoop. What's the thing I like most about this truck? And that's a quick, easy, simple answer for me. It's how easily it goes from on-road to off-road, and it gets me where I need to go. We've driven 12, 13 hours on-road, no problems at all, and then we'll push it right onto off-road, go 3 or 4 hours, and it just does it so simply. There's never been a problem. It's so easy. The capper on the back is a snug top Rebel. Cavalry blue. I get a lot of questions about the side steps. They are made by Toyota, and you can get them on Toyota's website. Now, they're not rock sliders, but just for me, I put a special rail underneath just in case I did need to slide on them. So that makes kind of a happy median. But as a step, they're kind of nice. The real reason I keep them on, my truck just came with them, is parking in LA. There's tight parking, and I've seen a few people swing their doors open, and instead of hitting the body of the truck, if they hit the step, my miles per gallon with this truck. And I get a lot of throwback from you guys on my YouTube channel about this, but I really am averaging 24 miles per gallon with this. I do drive very slow, and I do a lot of interstate travel. I do a lot of highway miles. So it really it's different because there's not much stop and go traffic with this truck. I just cruise at 65, 70, and I just enjoy the ride. I try not to ever be in a hurry because MPG is important to me with all the traveling, 50,000 miles in 20 months. That extra, 1 or 2 miles per gallon really adds up at the end of the year. Because I don't want to nerd out, but going on these long drives, sometimes getting behind a big rig, they're going 75 miles an hour. And I'll just, be a couple car lengths behind them, maybe, 5 or 6 car lengths behind them, safe about it. But drafting off of them, I can get close to 28 miles per gallon drafting. Now, this truck doesn't come with a lot of bells and whistles, but it does have a few. And I get asked a lot, which is my favorite? And the blind spot monitoring is by far my favorite on that. The one I'm not the biggest fan of is the brake monitor, where if you're getting too close to someone, it just all red lights in there saying brake, brake, brake. It happens a little too often when it doesn't need to come on, but it did save my butt once, so I can't complain about it too much. The wrap along the side, exploring our national parks. Shout out to Gator Wraps, they did a great job on this, one of our sponsors. But it's just showing we're doing a project where we're traveling to all the national parks to photograph them. And this is just in works with national parks, just getting it out there, posting online. That's why we have that wrap. How do I sleep in it when I'm camping? Now, the TRD Pro only comes with a 5-foot bed, and I'm 5'10". So it doesn't quite work unless I sleep diagonally. And after much trial and error, I found the best way for me is, if I am going to camp in this for a while, I clear it out and I'll put a bunch of pads down, sleep diagonal, and it works pretty well. So we're on our way back from the Owens Valley. We're heading back to LA, and it's about 300 miles. But we stopped here, one of my favorite places, Alabama Hills, to kind of just show you guys what this can do off-road. Just a little, you've seen this trek before. This is a little road that we use to get to one of my favorite camping spots. And it's not the most difficult, but like I've talked about before in my other reviews, I don't go looking for hardcore off-roading. I just need this truck to get me where I need to be. And this was a perfect example of this, and I'll just show you in its element, going up the hill. Now, I know this isn't a crazy difficult obstacle, but I just wanted to show you how nice it's been in this truck to be able just to drive and go up something like this, no problems. I didn't air down. We did this at 36 PSI. I put it in 4 low. I didn't lock the rear diff. So it shows you how much more it can do, but just you don't have to unpack the car. Everything's still packed, all our gear's in there. Didn't have to move things around. Just a little flip of the switch to 4-wheel drive, and you go up this, like you saw, in no problem. And that's what I really, really like about the Tacoma TRD Pro, or even the 4x4. I mean, they're such nice vehicles. And on that note, let's go into the studio and talk more about the interior.
So it's the next morning, we're heading into the LA studio to talk about the interior and how well it's held up. But I wanted to take this quick moment to go over something that really surprised me about this truck, and it's kind of lost. No one really talks about it for the mid-size or full-size truck market. And that's just the feedback I get from this steering wheel and this suspension and this setup in this truck. I feel a lot of the newer trucks coming out, they're so modernized for comfort, yes, but it just feels, the steering feels so mechanical. Whereas on this Tacoma, and really it's a lot of the other Tacomas, you get so much feedback through the steering wheel, you can really feel the road. I mean, we're on the freeway right now, so it's not that important, but when I'm out on the dirt roads and everything, I get so much information about the condition of the road through the steering wheel. I think it lacks in a lot of other trucks, and it's just such a great kind of driving experience. This isn't the most exciting car to drive on road, and really it's not the most comfortable because of that, but it translates so well into off-road, dirt roads, and even just, you know, the gravel. You get so much feedback through the steering wheel. It's so nice to have when you're driving. You just get so much information that is so helpful when you're off-roading.
Now that we're in the studio, I thought I'd go over how well the interior is held up over 50,000 miles, as well as some things I really like about the interior and other things that I wish maybe Toyota would have done just a little bit differently. First off, I enjoy the simplicity of this interior. I like that I can just push a button and I don't have to scroll through different menus to find the option I need. And even though there's a lot of plastics and kind of the cheaper leather in here, it's not really showing its age. It's not really showing any wear and tear, and that's really nice. It still looks pretty new. The only heavy wear and tear that I've really noticed on this truck is right here on the driver's door, by the door handle, and as well as here on the driver's seat, but that's to be expected. Now, even after 20 months of using this system, I still find it a little confusing and clunky. But it does have everything. You just gotta really kind of search for it, and it's small buttons to touch, and it's a little difficult to do while driving. It's not nearly as clean as the new 2020 models that do have Apple and Android CarPlay, but this system, it does get the job done. Now on to the navigation. Like everything else in this system, it's very functional. It's just a little bit clumsy. And the one thing I do wish Toyota did, it gave us the option, especially for the TRD Pro, 4Runner, 4x4s, is a little bit more availability for dirt roads and backcountry trails. It doesn't really show any of those on the navigation, and you need to use your phone or a portable navigation system. Now, I've had a few people boldly state on this channel they would never ever buy a Tacoma truck because of what they consider transmission issues. And those issues to them are that it searches a little too much for gears to help with the MPG. In my personal experience with the 50,000 miles, it happens to me maybe 15, 20, 25 times a year. So it doesn't happen all that often. I really do feel it though sometimes when I'm at altitude, 7,000 feet plus, and I'm going up a gradual hill. It will kind of upshift and downshift a little too much for me, and in that case, I will just put it into sports mode with the shifter, and the issue goes away. But I will have to say, for people who do want just power and speed, this truck might not be the best for you. But as for me, I just need a reliable vehicle that does well off-road, and this has been the perfect fit. The engine is plenty powerful. I've had 4,000 pounds on the back of this thing, and I barely felt it. And when you're off-roading and you really need that low-end torque, this engine does a great job of it. I would much prefer reliability and longevity over power and speed. And needless to say, it's a Toyota engine, so if you take care of it, it's going to go forever. And this one, 50,000 miles, no problem at all. All the belts are still in the green, reading green. So it's been a great engine. I really have no complaints about it. Now here we go, proof about the miles per gallon. You can see here, right now I'm averaging 24.3 miles per gallon. And if you look back to September of 18, you can always see I'm right around 24. My best ever is 24.8, 24.3 right now. Now, before you comment in the comment section, I do understand the computer is always a little bit high on this, but I hand calculated all this, and I'm right at about 23.9, 24 when I hand calculate it. And this just goes to show you, if you do drive this truck a certain way, it is capable of doing pretty good MPG. As for those questions I get about the back seat, is it big enough for a full-size adult to sit comfortably over a long trip? I can't really answer that question because I don't think I've ever had a full-size adult in the back of this truck. This is pretty much just where I store my gear and where the dogs sleep. And that's all I have to report on for the interior. It is holding up extremely well, and there hasn't been any big issues at all. And the only minor issues I've had are the ones I showed you. I'm just amazed how well this has held up. There's been muddy dogs run through this. It's gotten soaking wet from us coming in the rain. It's been beaten up, and really looking around, it's still kind of, with a good clean, it still could be brand new. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you want to learn more about us and our travels around US and Canada visiting national parks, follow us on Instagram at Cheyne Walls, or just check out our website, cheynewalls.com. And if you'd like to know more about the camera side of this, capturing images, check out some of the other videos on this channel. We concentrate more on the photography aspect, and the truck's more the background. Just get us to where we need to go. Cheers.